Another Palaszczuk government bungle has potentially exposed hundreds of Queensland high-rises to a repeat of the deadly Grenfell Towering inferno, which killed 72 people. 4 years after laws banning combustible cladding in Queensland were introduced, the Queensland government has finally moved to close a loophole preventing the building watchdog from prosecuting building owners who have refused to comply with self-reporting guidelines. But the new laws will not be enforceable for another 2 months. And in the meantime, the government is asking councils to prosecute because they don't have the legislative teeth to do so at the moment. So let's get all what we need to know on this latest exclusive story. We're joined by our Queensland News editor, Peter Gleeson. The government scrambling on this.
Yeah, Laura, I mean, this is the QBCC. Now, the QBCC, as we know, is the subject of a separate investigation now headed up by Jim Varghese into its dysfunctionality and problems. There's a lot of builders who are very upset with the way the QBCC operates. This, of course, is a separate issue altogether. Now, you'll remember that terrible, terrible incident in Grenfell in West London in 2017 where 78 people died, and they blamed combustible cladding for that problem. The government then decided, as did a lot of state governments in this country, and we saw it in New South Wales in particular, where they had a look at high-rise buildings to ensure this didn't happen. The government tried to introduce legislation. It finally got it through in 2020, and it gave a 12-month buffer period for buildings to get their act together. Now, the loophole is that they haven't been able to ensure that this legislation takes effect until mid-June. So instead of going out and prosecuting these high-rises, many of which are breaching the combustible cladding laws, they've asked councils to get involved. Only Brisbane City Council has agreed to help them prosecute up to, we believe, 25 high-rise buildings in southeast Queensland that are not complying with these combustible building laws. So, Laura, it's a loophole that hasn't been plugged by this government under Housing Minister Mick de Brenni. Now, de Brenni is under fire for, as I said, a whole range of reasons in Queensland. And I guess the real issue here is that we have people in high-rise buildings who are exposed to these particular combustible cladding breaches, and they probably don't even know about it.
OK, so this sounds pretty serious. Look what happened in London.
Well, indeed. And I think, once again, the spotlight comes onto the QBCC, the Queensland Building and Construction Commission. As I said, it's the subject currently of an investigation by Torrens University Chancellor Jim Varghese. And no doubt he will find that there's some issues there around dysfunctionality and around the culture of that particular organisation. But here's another example. I mean, here's another example where they've let their constituents down, and it's serious, and they're scrambling at the moment. As I said, only Brisbane City Council, the only local authority in the state that said, yes, we will help you, ironically enough, a Liberal-led local council. But, for 6 or 7 weeks, we are going to have a situation where the QBCC want to prosecute. They know there are prosecutions out there. They know there are breaches out there, but they can't get round to it because the legislation's not in place. Parliament doesn't resume until May 12. That's when they'll ram this through. But they won't be able to actually legislate and get it done until the middle of June.
OK, Gleeson, stay on that one for us. We'll check in soon. Appreciate it.